about the Trinity and it not being polytheistic. I think there is a way that you can have three distinct persons yet one God. And one of the things that I would appeal to is in the book of Genesis. Because one of the important factors to the Trinity is that it's an eternal relationship. So the Father has eternally begotten the Son, and we are unable to fully comprehend what that word begotten means, but we know that that is their eternal relationship, that He is eternally begotten, and the Holy Spirit is eternally proceeding from the Father, and that's another word that it's describing an eternal relationship they've had with God the Father is sort of like the fountainhead from which the Son and the Holy Spirit have eternally flown out of. But I think one of the good, or an appeal or an explanation, a way to explain this, give an example, is in the book of Genesis with Adam and Eve. When Eve is created, God takes Eve from Adam's rib, and Adam says of the rib, or of Eve after she's formed from his rib, this is flesh of my flesh and bone of my bone. She shall be called woman, for she was taken out of man. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. Now, when Adam says that she is flesh of his flesh and bone of his bone, it's similar to how the Nicene Creed says that Jesus is light of light, true God of true God, that he gets his nature from the Father in a certain sense, just like Eve got her nature from Adam, but we wouldn't say that.
Is there a time when Eve wasn't?
Well, that the
Yeah, I mean,
idolatry does.
patristic, with all due respect, I understand the doctrine of the Trinity very well. I mean, I don't mind listening to you, but you're kind of going on for quite a while. If you could try to wrap it up.
Okay. No, yeah, I mean, I think the ultimate way to understand it is it's an eternal relationship that the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit have had with each other.
Yeah,
So
I understand that.
Mm-hmm. But
But
since they
in the
are,
case of Adam and Eve, are they two human beings or one human being?
well, I have an issue with that because I wouldn't say that human and God are in the same category. For example, there's the human race, there's not the God race. So God is a different category than humans would be in.
Okay, so
Like
how is
flesh
it
would be,
analogous then?
because they're one flesh, one essence, one
They're one,
nature.
okay, they're one essence or one nature. Is that essence or nature universal?
Is it a universal?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we don't know. We don't know in
No, I'm
a
talking about
perfect.
in the case of humans.
Yeah, and I'm saying I don't. We don't know in a sinless state that Adam and Eve were in, if that is the case. But
So you don't know.
it's a,
So, I mean, because you're trying to make an analogy based on the essence, right? So is there some type of analogy between the essence of humans and the essence of God?
in an ideal sinless sense, I would say, yeah, possibly.
Okay, so I'm saying in that case, what is the analogy supposed to be? Is the essence of man or humanity a universal?
Is the essence of man? Wait, say
First
that
of
one more
all, do you
time.
know what a universal is?
Explain that to me. I'm not sure how you're using it. So
What I mean is that Adam and Eve have the same human nature, and every other human being that exists has the same human nature.
yeah, they would.
Okay, so you believe that. Now, in the case of God, does the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit all possess the same human nature in that it is a universal?
They possess the same nature, not the same human nature. I think
And I'm
that's
sorry, the same
correct.
divine nature. Pardon me.
Yeah, they possess the same divine nature.
Okay, they possess the same divine nature. So my question is, if the analogy is supposed to be based on the fact that there is this universal essence that humans possess, and that there's a universal essence in which the persons of the Trinity possess. In the case of Adam and Eve, although they possess the same human nature, okay, we count them as two human beings because that universal essence is instantiated in two distinct particulars, okay, a man and a woman, Adam and Eve. In the case of
Well,
Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, just one second, in the case of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, that universal divine essence is instantiated in three particulars, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And the same way that we count human beings is the same way in which we would count gods, and therefore you would have three gods.
well, no, I mean, I think there's a bit of categorical confusion going on,
Okay,
because
explain it.
I mean, because I think there's a difference between human nature and human beings. So, for example,
Yeah,
I
there
would
is.
say that, so human beings, I mean, I think that's a completely different thing than human nature. So
It
there's
is.
human nature.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to say that when it comes to God, there is his nature, but we wouldn't say that there's God beings or a
Okay.
God race.
No, but the question is,
There's
how do you count
categorical
human beings? You count human beings based on the fact that an individual possesses a human nature, so in that sense he's human, and he counts as one human being distinct from others by the fact that he has particular qualities that other human beings don't. For example, my name is Jake, I'm located in a particular place at this particular time, and I have a human nature. Patristic, whatever your real name is, the same goes for you. Therefore, we count as two human beings because we both have a human nature, but yet we also have an aspect which is particular to us that is not shared by each other. So we count as two human beings. In the same way, Adam and Eve, although they have the same human nature, they count as two human beings because one's a man, one is a woman, right? One was created from the other, etc., etc. They have differences between them. Same thing with Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. They all have the same universal divine essence, and yet they are particulars. The Father is unbegotten, the Son is begotten of the Father, and the Holy Spirit, depending on whether you take the Western view or the Eastern view, is spirated by the Father alone or by the Father and the Son. They have personal properties that distinguish them from each other in eternity past. So likewise, they would count as three gods.
Well, no, because I do think that the analogy breaks down for one reason is because we're not talking about just human beings in general. I'm specifically talking about in the sense of Adam and Eve. And I would kind of question if in a perfect sinless state, would we have the same will, the same nature, the same essence, and that the fall has defiled us in a way that it has
Well,
separated us.
I asked you before if we had the same human essence, same human nature. You said yes. If you want to change your position on it, that's fine. But then we're back to square one as to what the analogy with Adam and Eve is even attempting to show.
No, I'm just saying that I think it breaks down. I think there is a fundamental difference between um, a pre-fall and post-fall when we talk about human essence and human nature.
Okay, so then
So
let's scratch the analogy then. Okay, because what is the analogy supposed to show? I thought it was supposed to show how two persons, okay, Adam and Eve, can have the same essence and be called one in a certain sense. I thought that's what it was
yes,
supposed to
they
be.
can. Yeah,
Right.
and they do because they are one flesh.
And I'm saying you say that they're one flesh, but I'm asking you how many human beings are there? One or two?
Well, I mean, again, we're talking about pre-fall and post-fall. When we're talking about human beings, um, I would wonder if they would have had the same will, because we see they both agreed to the fall when it happened, and we see that, and we see actually one of the effects of the fall is that it tears them apart from one another, in that they start pointing the fingers at each other, Adam, in a way that uh, we possibly
Yeah,
have.
but how is that relevant to whether or not they have the same human nature and whether or not there's a human nature that is distinct pre-fall or post-fall? All of that is irrelevant to counting how many human beings there are. Prior to the fall, okay, there were two human beings. Post-fall, there's still two
Yes.
human beings.
Uh-huh.
So that doesn't
Yes.
affect how
And
we count how many
again,
humans there are.
And again, I think it's a categorical error because human beings is talking about something categorically different from what God is. So
Okay, so
they
then why
might be
would you use the
one
analogy? How does the analogy help if it's a category error when your analogy is using that category to analogize between man and God?
because they are. I do believe we can say that they are one being pre-fall in the sense that they both have that same mindset of staying away from sin, not being a part of sin, and still reaching that place of perfection that they needed to attain.
Okay, they're one
So
being
they,
in the sense that they're one being in the sense that they were sinless, correct?
yes, in a certain
Okay,
sense,
but
yes.
how many human beings were there? Was it one or two?
Categorically, I mean, we're talking about different categories of human beings, I believe. There's
What?
human
No,
being in
we're
the sense,
saying there's two humans there. It doesn't matter
yeah,
if you say that they're one in the sense that in which they don't even share the same numerical will because Adam and Eve had a different will from one another. There wasn't one will that was shared by the two of them. They each had their own will. So I mean, there's really nothing. You're just using it as a certain way to say, oh, due to a union of a marriage, you can say that the two become one flesh, and this kind of idea. Fine, you can use that sort of poetic language in this context, but that doesn't change the fact that there are still two human beings there. There are two men, or in this case, man and a woman.
two men. Oh boy. No, I mean, again, I think, and I feel like I probably have to get going soon, but it's categorically different. We can talk about humans in two different ways. I think you just want to think of human beings in one specific sense and saying that we cannot extrapolate on that meaning even to a deeper
No, I'm just
sense than,
saying even the meaning doesn't get off the ground to begin with because there are two humans there. There are two humans there, and in the same way that there are two humans, you can say that the three divine persons, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, have a similar or the same plan in mind for creation, and they all agree with one another, and all of the you can add up all of these type of similarities, but the fact of the matter still remains that there are differences between the persons and there are differences between Adam and Eve. And in virtue of that, we count them as two. And in virtue of that, we count them as three persons and three gods in the Trinity. And you're not able, I mean, with all due respect, sir, you haven't been able to respond to this point at all.
well, I mean, yeah, I feel like I will just be repeating myself at this point. But
Yeah,
yeah,
you
I
will
think
be repeating
main,
yourself. You will be
yeah, I think
repeating yourself. And I'm saying that your own church fathers actually, and you think I'm bringing up this point incorrectly, some of your very own church fathers, because of the absurdity of this position, they actually concluded that there's only one human. There's only one man.
I mean, could that not be the case? Do you not think
Okay,
so?
let's do this. How many men are on stage right now?
Could it be one man? I'm asking you now.
No, I'm
I
asking you. Is there one man on stage or there's more than one man?
I mean, obviously there's more than one man on stage,
Okay,
but
there's
I
more
do
than one man on stage. Why is there more than one man on stage?
I can't explain, or I'm not sure I understand the question.
Well, you know
I
there's
just
one man. Why do you think that there's more than one man? Sorry. You know there's one more than one.
I'm
Why are
trying
you
to
saying that?
no, what I am trying to get across is that I do believe there's different ways that we can, and I mean, I keep saying this, so I will stop here, but there are different ways that we can use the word man, categorically speaking. Um, and so I believe that we can talk about, human beings, plural, but we're categorically talking about something different than than
Okay.
human in general. What is
Okay, patristic. Is anyone on the stage ready to say that there's only one man on the stage?
that's
I could say that in the context that there's one mankind, and perhaps that's what the early church fathers was referring to.
So you believe there's one man on the stage?
Well, obviously the early church fathers didn't believe that there was only one man, so they must have been referring to one in the context of one mankind. There's
And I'm
not
just
two
asking you,
mankind's. There's only one
what
mankind.
was your answer to that question? Same question. And by the way,
With,
patristic, if
with regards to what?
are you
With
comfortable?
regards to if there's one
Hold on,
man?
hold on a second. Are you comfortable with him speaking now, or did you want to continue?
Oh no, I'm cool. I'm actually kind of familiar with Catholic tradition, so I'm cool
It's
with
kind
him
of hard to
exploring.
hear you, Catholic. Can you mute your mic for a second?
Oh no, I'm cool with Catholic traditionalists coming in. I'm familiar with some of his stuff, so
Okay. I just didn't want him to speak, and you still felt like you wanted to say something. And you also said you had to go, so I
yeah.
don't know if you have to go
I
at this point.
appreciate talking to you. I've been familiar with you for a while, so
With who?
with you, I appreciate getting to talk to you because I've been familiar with your work. So
Okay, that's nice. Thank you. Yeah, maybe we can speak again another time.
cool, sounds good. Well, I'll catch y'all later.
All right, take care, buddy. Catholic, did you want to continue? And by the way, if you